You've noticed it, haven't you? That sinking feeling when you walk into a room and realize you're breathing the same air as everyone else, but somehow existing in a different dimension. There are people who don't need to announce themselves. The atmosphere bends around them. Conversations pause, eyes shift. And then there's you, armed with credentials, experience, maybe even more talent, standing there like a ghost watching the living. Let me ask you something that's going to sting. How many times have you walked into a space believing your work would speak for itself? How many times did you think being the best at what you do would be enough? You played by the rules. You were polite. You were professional. You waited your turn. And what happened? Someone else, someone less qualified, someone who barely tried, walked past you and took what you thought was yours. This isn't bad luck. This isn't timing. This is architecture. There's an invisible structure governing who rises and who remains stuck, and you weren't given the blueprint. While you were learning to be valuable, someone else was learning to be essential. While you were perfecting your skills, they were perfecting leverage. The brutal reality nobody wants to whisper in your ear is this: influence doesn't care how hard you work. It cares how well you understand the machinery of human desire. You've been approaching the elite like a beggar approaching a king. Extended hand, hopeful eyes, offering friendship to people who are drowning in shallow relationships. But those at the summit don't need another friend. They're surrounded by people who smile and nod. What they're starving for are extensions of their will. Instruments, tools that think. You need to become the answer to a question they didn't know they were asking. 5 centuries ago, a man looked at power without flinching and wrote down what he saw. Not what society wanted to believe. Not what morality demanded. What actually worked. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli, and his observations weren't instructions for villainy. They were a dissection of reality. He understood that beneath our polite masks, humans operate on ancient code, self-preservation, ego protection, and hunger for significance. Miss this truth, and you'll spend your life being moved around by others. Master it, and you become the one doing the moving. What I'm about to share with you isn't a collection of networking tips. This is a psychological arsenal. 13 principles that will fundamentally alter how you navigate rooms where decisions that shape industries are made. By the time you finish this, you won't look at influential people and see gods. You'll see patterns, predictable patterns, and you'll know exactly which buttons to press. But understand this: once you see how the game is actually played, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to naive optimism. You ready for that? Most people sabotage themselves the moment they meet someone powerful. They approach with transparency. Here's what I want. Here's why I need it. Here's why you should help me. They think honesty builds trust. It doesn't. It builds vulnerability. When you show all your cards, you hand over control. The person across from you now knows your desperation, your ceiling, your leverage, and they'll use it to extract maximum value while giving minimum investment. The truth about connecting with those who hold real power is uncomfortable. You have to become a shapeshifter, not a fake, a strategist. You need to slip into their world so seamlessly that removing you would feel like ripping out a piece of their own infrastructure. But how do you do this without dissolving into a servile yes man? How do you maintain your soul while playing theater? The answer lives in something psychologists call strategic authenticity. But before we can unpack that, you need to understand the 13 laws that govern this invisible game. Here's where most people miscalculate immediately. They meet someone influential and their instinct screams, "Prove yourself, show them you're brilliant, demonstrate your value." So they do. They shine. They dazzle. They solve problems before being asked. And what happens? The powerful person feels threatened. Because here's the paradox you need to internalize. Those at the top are often the most psychologically fragile. Their entire identity rests on being the smartest voice in the room, the visionary everyone follows, the sun around which lesser planets orbit. When you enter their atmosphere radiating competence, you're not signaling partnership, you're signaling competition. Their reptilian brain registers you as danger. They won't consciously think, This person is better than me. But subconsciously, they'll start finding reasons to exclude you, undermine you, forget about you, not because you're incompetent, because you made them feel dim by comparison. The solution? Controlled dimming. Let them be the star. Feed their brilliance. When you have an insight, package it as a question that allows them to arrive at the answer. Make your intelligence invisible until they need it, and when they do need it, frame it as though you're simply executing their vision. This isn't weakness. This is camouflage. Predators in nature don't announce themselves. They blend into the environment until the moment to strike arrives. By making them feel like the most exceptional person in the conversation, you disarm their defenses. You become safe, and safety is the first step toward becoming indispensable. While they're admiring their reflection in your eyes, you're cataloging their fears, mapping their insecurities, understanding what keeps them awake at night. Let them own the spotlight. You'll own the foundation it stands on. Now, think about every interaction you've had with someone powerful. Could they read you? Did your eyes betray your hunger? Did your body language scream, "I need this opportunity"? If someone can see what you want, they can control you. Desire is a leash. The moment they know you want money, they know how to buy you. The moment they sense you crave validation, they know how to manipulate you with praise or withdrawal. Most people are open books written in desperation. To move through rooms where real influence lives, you must become unreadable. When you sit across from someone who can change your trajectory, your energy should be calm, curious, almost indifferent. Don't talk about business. Talk about the art on their wall, their recent trip, the wine they're drinking. Philosophy. Anything that makes the interaction human rather than transactional. This creates confusion in their pattern recognition system. Everyone wants something from them. You seem different. You seem whole. Mystery is magnetic. When they can't decode your agenda, they start projecting their own needs onto you. They start wondering, and that wondering is the crack through which you enter their mental real estate. Never telegraph your endgame. Be warm, be present, be engaging. But keep the core of your ambition locked behind a door they can't see. The less they know about your true motives, the more space you have to maneuver when the negotiation arrives. And it will arrive. But by then, you won't be the desperate outsider begging for entry. You'll be the intriguing puzzle they're trying to solve. Here's where kindness fails you. You need something. Mentorship, investment, access. So you tell your story. You explain how hard you've worked, how much you've struggled, how deserving you are of a chance. You appeal to their conscience, their sense of fairness, their moral code. They listen, they nod sympathetically, and then nothing happens. Why? Because mercy is exhausting. Powerful people are besieged daily by worthy causes and desperate asks. If they helped everyone who deserved help, they'd be depleted and bankrupt within a month. What moves them isn't your worthiness, it's their advantage. You need to stop thinking like a supplicant and start thinking like a deal maker. Don't ask for favors. Engineer exchanges camouflaged as alliances. Do reconnaissance. What problem are they wrestling with that nobody can solve? What competitor is keeping them up at night? What project are they passionate about that's bleeding resources without results? Position yourself as the surgical solution to their specific pain. When you finally speak to them, don't mention your needs. Frame everything through their interests. I noticed you're dealing with this challenge. I've developed a method that could cut your timeline in half. Now you're not a charity case. You're a strategic asset. Self-interest is the only dialect that translates across every culture, every industry, every ego. Learn to speak it fluently, and doors you thought were welded shut will swing open. We live in an era of pathological availability. You reply to messages within minutes. You accept every meeting request. You're always reachable, always accommodating, always there. You think this signals dedication and professionalism. It actually broadcasts the opposite. Low market value. Scarcity is the fundamental economic law, and it applies to human beings just as ruthlessly as it applies to commodities. If you're always accessible, you're common. Common things don't command premium prices. People with real power understand that time is the only asset they can't manufacture more of. When you give yours away indiscriminately, you're announcing it's worthless. The strategic move, calculated withdrawal. When you're present, be fully there. Make them feel like the center of the universe. Then vanish. Don't respond instantly. Don't rearrange your schedule to accommodate their convenience. Have a mission. Have boundaries. Have a life that doesn't orbit their approval. This accomplishes two things. First, it demonstrates you're a person with options, with value elsewhere. Second, it creates what psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect, an open loop in their consciousness. When you're absent, their brain doesn't forget you. It starts wondering, where are you? What are you doing? Who else are you talking to? Your absence occupies more psychological space than your presence ever could. And when you do return, they don't treat it as routine. They treat it as a reward. Every human being is secretly obsessed with themselves, even the ones who project humility, even the ones who claim to value diverse perspectives. Deep down, we're all narrating our own hero's journey, and we crave witnesses who confirm our narrative. Most people try to connect by broadcasting their own story. Look at what I've accomplished. Here's what I believe. This is white noise to someone powerful. They don't need another voice. They need an echo chamber that makes them sound smarter. To connect at the deepest level, become their mirror. Not a sycophantic one that just reflects whatever they say. A sophisticated mirror that reflects them back slightly more impressive than they actually are. If they speak quickly with aggressive certainty, match that tempo. If they're methodical and measured, slow yourself down. Mirror their physicality, their vocabulary. If they reference military strategy, you reference military strategy. If they use sports analogies, you use sports analogies. This isn't mere mimicry, it's neurological synchronization. When you successfully mirror someone, their subconscious brain categorizes you as same tribe. And we trust our tribe. We attribute intelligence to our tribe. You're bypassing their critical thinking and speaking directly to the ancient brain that just wants to feel understood. People don't want to be challenged by strangers. They want to be confirmed. When they look at you, let them see the most flattering version of themselves looking back. They'll become addicted to your presence because you give them something rare, the feeling of being truly seen. In ancient times, those who controlled land controlled everything. In the digital age, the resource is different, but the principle remains. Those who control information hold the real cards. But we're not talking about public information. We're talking about intelligence that hasn't hit the news cycle yet. Insights that others don't have access to. Powerful people exist in bubbles. They're surrounded by people who filter reality, who tell them what they want to hear. They're starving for unvarnished truth, for the pulse of what's actually happening outside their insulated world. If you can become the person who consistently delivers high-value intelligence they can't get elsewhere, you transition from outsider to confidant. You become their reconnaissance system. Did you hear what's happening with your competitor? There's a regulatory shift coming that nobody's talking about yet. I discovered a vulnerability in your process that your team isn't reporting. You're not gossiping. You're providing strategic advantage. When you trade in secrets, you elevate from employee to conspirator. And there's no bond stronger than the bond between co-conspirators. But here's the critical piece. Never reveal all your sources. Maintain monopoly over your intelligence supply chain. If they can get the information without you, they don't need you. Keep the source concealed. Deliver the insight. Make yourself the irreplaceable pipeline. Nothing creates tribal bonding faster than a shared adversary. Psychologists call this in-group, out-group bias. We instinctively trust people who hate the same things we hate. Want to fast-track intimacy with someone powerful? Identify what they despise. Is it bureaucratic inefficiency? Intellectual mediocrity? A specific rival? The erosion of standards in their industry? Whatever it is, align yourself with that contempt. Validate their frustration. The way this industry has compromised excellence is exactly what you've been saying. When you validate their enemies, you validate their struggle. You position them as the hero fighting against corruption or stupidity, and you position yourself as the one handing them the sword. Be careful not to come across as purely negative. It needs to feel like righteous anger. We're the few who still care about quality in a world racing to the bottom. This creates a bunker mentality, us against the broken world, and in that bunker, deep loyalty gets forged. You're not just colleagues anymore. You're fellow warriors in an imaginary battle. That psychological positioning is worth more than any skill set you could offer. Nobody lives in reality. We all live in the story we tell ourselves about who we are. The ruthless executive sees himself as a misunderstood protector. The scattered creative believes she's a visionary ahead of her time. The insecure leader imagines himself as a transformative force. Your job isn't to shatter these delusions. Your job is to step into the story and play the supporting role that makes their fantasy feel real. If they want to be seen as a wise mentor, become the student who actually listens. Ask for their guidance. Let them teach. If they want to be the rebel challenging the system, become the accomplice who validates their courage. If they want to be the benevolent king, become the loyal advisor who reinforces their nobility. Don't force them to confront the gap between their self-image and reality. Reality is painful. That's why they've built fortresses of money and status to avoid it. If you're the one person who supports their narrative, they'll protect you fiercely. Because if you leave, the illusion collapses. You become the architecture holding up their identity. Is this manipulation? Absolutely. But we're not discussing genuine friendship here. We're discussing strategic access to power. And power is theater. Learn your lines. Play your part. Exit when the scene ends. People with influence carry enormous weight. Empires, payrolls, decisions that affect thousands of lives. Their internal landscape is often chaos dressed in expensive suits. Anxiety masked by confidence. Most people who interact with them add to that storm. They bring problems without solutions, drama without resolution, urgent crises that demand immediate attention. To become irreplaceable, you must be the opposite. When they're spiraling, you're the calm center. When they're reactive, you're measured. Learn to absorb their chaos and reflect back clarity. I understand the situation. Here's the solution. It's handled. Those 3 words, it's handled, might be the most seductive phrase in the English language to someone drowning in responsibility. You're not adding to their burden. You're removing weight from their shoulders. They'll start craving time with you, not because of what you produce, because of how you make them feel. Safe, in control, grounded. In a world of noise, be the silence. In a world of fire, be the water. If you can lower someone's stress hormones, you can name your price. Rigidity is death in social dynamics. If you cling to a fixed identity, you'll clash with anyone whose world doesn't accommodate your personality. The fox survives because it adapts. Water persists because it has no fixed form. When navigating power, you can't afford the luxury of being yourself at all times. Some situations demand aggression, others require submission. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow. Don't get emotionally attached to a single way of showing up. If you insist on authenticity at all costs, you'll alienate people who operate differently than you do. Formlessness is protection. If you have no rigid shape, you can't be cornered. If you're adaptable, you can slip through any door. Study the person you're dealing with. If they're formal and traditional, match that energy. If they're casual and irreverent, adjust accordingly. Remove friction. Make it effortless for them to absorb you into their ecosystem. The perfect infiltrator is the one who looks like they've always belonged. Blend into the environment until the moment comes to stand out. And when that moment arrives, you'll have positioning that rigid people could never achieve. Here's the ultimate principle. Make yourself structurally necessary to someone above you. If they can post your job description on a hiring platform and replace you in 3 weeks, you're vulnerable. You need to weave yourself so deeply into the fabric of their success that removing you would cause the entire structure to wobble. Find a function they despise but can't eliminate. Master it. Own a relationship with a client they can't afford to lose. Become the keeper of a system only you understand. Position yourself as the bridge between them and something they desperately want. If you're the bridge, they can't afford to burn you. Don't democratize your knowledge. Don't train others to do what you do. Keep the expertise esoteric. The more they depend on you for their peace of mind, for their competitive advantage, for their reputation, the more leverage you accumulate. The goal isn't independence. The goal is mutual entanglement. You want them waking up at 3 in the morning thinking, what would happen if they left? Once you occupy that space in their psychology, you've won. You can negotiate the raise, the partnership, the equity, because you're not an employee anymore. You're an organ, and you don't amputate your own heart. The person running the room isn't the one shouting commands. It's the one who designed the menu. When you present options to someone powerful, don't overwhelm them with infinite possibilities. That creates decision paralysis. Curate the choices. We can pursue option A, which carries this risk, or option B, which generates this outcome. I recommend B, but the decision is yours. You're framing the landscape so the path you want them to take appears as the obvious choice. This is the illusion of autonomy. They feel like the decision maker. They feel like the king issuing the decree. But you built the road they're walking on. You're doing the strategic thinking. They're doing the authorizing. You're the architect. They're the signature. Never ask open-ended questions like, what do you think we should do? That forces them to do the heavy lifting. Instead say, here are the 3 paths I see. Path 2 is the strongest for these reasons. What's your command? You're serving them pre-digested strategy. They get to feel decisive without doing the analytical work. Control the framework of the conversation, and you control the outcome. And now we arrive at the paradox that makes everything else possible. To genuinely connect with powerful people, you must not need them. If your self-worth depends on their approval, they'll sense it like blood in water. They'll smell the desperation, the hunger, the neediness, and they'll categorize you as a fan, not a peer. True power recognizes true power. You need to cultivate radical self-sufficiency. Even if your kingdom is small, it must be yours. You must have your own code, your own vision, your own mission that exists independently of their validation. You must be genuinely willing to walk away from the opportunity if the terms don't serve you. The person willing to walk away holds all the leverage in any negotiation. When you sit across from someone worth hundreds of millions, you need to know in your bones that you'll be fine without them. You're not there to extract. You're there to exchange value between equals. This shift in energy changes everything. Your voice steadies. Your eye contact doesn't waver. Your body language stops screaming for approval. You become solid, and that solidity is magnetic to powerful people. They're surrounded by fluid personalities who bend and reshape themselves to gain favor. When they encounter someone who is unmoved, someone who respects them but doesn't worship them, they're fascinated. Be immovable. Be sovereign over your own psychology. Approach from wholeness, not from lack. That's when the dynamic fundamentally shifts. Let that sink in for a moment. I know what's happening in your mind right now. Part of you is resisting. This feels cold, calculated, cynical, and you're right. It is all of those things. But look at the world you're actually living in. Look at the institutions you're part of, your company, your government, the social structures you navigate daily. Were they built on transparency and fairness? Or were they built on strategy, leverage, and understanding the machinery of human psychology? You have a decision to make. You can cling to innocence. You can insist the world should operate on merit and kindness. You can remain in the passenger seat criticizing the driver. Or you can take the wheel. Machiavelli wasn't a villain. He was a realist. He stared into the abyss of human behavior and refused to look away. He saw that we're driven by fear, by ego, by the need for security and significance. Using these principles isn't about exploiting people. It's about understanding them more deeply than they understand themselves. It's about speaking to the shadow parts they don't acknowledge, the unconscious patterns they don't recognize. When you apply these laws with precision, everything changes. You stop being invisible. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You become the strategist. And you realize that powerful people are just players who learned the rules before you did. They're waiting for someone real, someone fluent in the game, to walk through the door. That someone is you. These 13 laws aren't chains. They're keys to doors you didn't know existed. But holding keys is meaningless without the discipline to use them. This level of psychological sophistication isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a practice you commit to daily. The world is designed to lull you back to sleep, to make you compliant, to make you a piece on someone else's board. If you're refusing to go back to unconsciousness, if you're ready to sharpen your perception until it cuts through the noise, then make the choice right now. Don't just passively consume this. Take action that signals to yourself that something has shifted. Hit the subscribe button. Not to support this channel. Do it as a contract with yourself. A declaration that you're done being a spectator in your own life. You're entering the arena now. Welcome to the game.